Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris. But man, let's get straight into it. Does this PFL purchase of Bellator, does this do anything at all to compete with the UFC? Is this finally the time where we might finally see like the old school, sorry to bring up wrestling, but it's kind of the closest thing when WCW and WWF had the Monday Night Wars. Like, are we ever going to see this ever with the UFC? Are they ever going to have competition? And as much as this might be the perfect opportunity for somebody right now, especially with the whole UFC lawsuit the antitrust lawsuit that I've been talking about and everybody's been talking about, and it's looking like the UFC might have to pay out billions of dollars to hold fighters, like this could be the time to push them. But I'm telling you guys, man, at the end of the day, the PFL, one championship, Bellator, Strikeforce back in the day, WEC back in the day. We've seen this time after time after time, and you go back to Pride, but ever since the UFC took over, it's been proven, and not always the best fighters in the UFC. We know this. There are some stacked guys out there. There's some phenomenal talent out there. Bellator's got a handful of them all throughout the weight classes that I think could give the UFC guys problems, champions, top 10s, problems. Same with the PFL, same with one. But at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to marketing. It comes down who's got the views, who's got the blueprint, who's got it all. And it's the UFC at the end of the day. They're kings. I'm sorry to say it that way, but they just have it down to a blueprint. They let the number one guy go. Can you guys even name the top 5 PFL fighters right now? And if you do, 3 of them are from the UFC, and the other 2 haven't even fought for him. And that's Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou. And the UFC let Francis Ngannou go. And look, Tom Aspinall takes over right after. Sergey Pavlovich, these guys, John Jones, like there's names forever that are just going to completely just continue the cycle, and we'll forget these people after the next big fight. And look at the PFL. Like, you guys have the number one combat fighter out there, Francis Ngannou, and you can't even come up with a fight for him in MMA. Yeah, sure, you could have Deontay Wilder come over to MMA, but we all know that's not an MMA fight. That's going to be a boxing fight. It's going to be a grappling fight, and if anything goes wrong with Francis, I'll probably take him down and submit him. But at the end of the day, it's not an MMA fight. Like, who do you guys have at the PFL that could fight him? No one. Who do you guys have now from Bellator that could fight him? Ryan Bader? Like, no, you can't even have your number one prospect, the number one fighter in combat sports. You can't even have him fight anybody. You don't have a single matchup out there. And then Jake Paul, like, no offense, yeah, biggest name maybe, but like that could be a one and done situation. The one MMA fight out there is Nate Diaz. You're not going to get Nate Diaz. And even if you do, it's 40-year-old Nate Diaz fighting a non-MMA fighter. Like, I'm sorry, that's going to be a one and done thing. And Jake Paul's been saying how he wants to be a boxing champion. So that for real is going to be a one and done thing. And if he loses quick, it's I don't see anybody else trying it out here. No other influencer, no other boxer. Like, I'm out here doing MMA. So it's like, at the end of the day, sure, those are some big names. But really, at the end of the day, what is that going to do? Maybe help you, break the bottom line. But to take over the UFC, like, I just don't see it. And okay, cool. You guys could have a huge, one night pay-per-view or 2-night pay-per-view or back-to-back month thing where PFL versus, Bellator champions to see who's the ultimate champion. Sure, I love that. Diehards love that. Average MMA fans aren't even going to tune in. The PFL just had a huge thing with, like 5 championships on the line. They had their season ender, like, for the tournaments and stuff. Like, I'm sorry, did anybody watch it? Like, I mean, I did, but the average person, I bet you not even 100,000 people watch that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then with Bellator, they've been throwing on those tournaments forever, and maybe not in-season tournaments, but really cool. I like the bracket tournaments. I love that idea. I've been doing it on UFC games forever, and nobody watches those either. And with PFL, they don't even have elbows, and I'm just telling you guys, man, I just wouldn't get my hopes up. I think this is cool. I think it's a huge opportunity for at least, maybe to help the, free agency market, maybe to get some more money, maybe the UFC might have to start paying more. But outside of that, I don't think this is going to even come close to affecting numbers. I don't even think it might change the PFL's numbers that much, to be honest with you. As much as I want them to succeed, I just don't know if this does it for me, man, at all. So, I mean, you guys let me know what y'all think. I could be wrong here, but like a lot of these guys that we're even looking on the PFL and Bellator roster now, like, might be coming down to the last few fights. A couple older guys, like the Pitbull brothers, aren't young. I mean, Rory McDonald, does that guy even fight anymore? Like, Gegard Mousasi, like, does he even fight anymore? Like, a lot of these big names, like, I mean, even like Olivier Auburn Mercier or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't even know if he's gonna fight. Like, he's getting older. He was talking about how he might be going into the sunset. And that's an ex UFC guy. Clay Collard, ex UFC guy. Oh, Shane Burgos, ex UFC guy. A lot of these people, man. And it's we just saw Aspen Ladd was one of the bigger people they were pushing. Ex UFC girl. Like a lot of these people couldn't even get it. Derek Brunson, old. Like I don't know, man. It sounds cool on paper. I just don't know, man. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen. I think the UFC is too big now. I think this is like how we're trying to see the XFL come back and all these different football leagues, and it's just not working because the NFL has taken over forever and college football's got its thing. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like I think the PFL could maybe make more money getting into that celebrity boxing scene, but you guys let me know. I just don't see it. But as always, your boy Stephen Moustaris, and I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving. And let's go, baby.